Shepard Book once said to me, "Can't do something smart? Listen to this episode of the Retro Rewind podcast."
Reflux capacitors fluxing. Crew to stations. Scanning for Serenity 2005. Prepare to rewind in 3, 2, 1.
No. We're going for a ride.
Welcome, Rewinders and new listeners, to the Retro Rewind podcast, where we take a fresh look at movies and games from 15 or more years ago. I'm your captain of the pod, Francisco Ruiz. Also, many people confuse me for Malcolm Reynolds, but no, I am Francisco Ruiz, and I'm joined by your XO and mine, Paul, the not really confused with Gina Torres, Master Interrupter Powers.
Hey, Captain, I'm Shiny and excited to be on this episode because it's our Christmas end of the year spectacular.
Yes.
And we're reviewing Serenity after reviewing all the episodes of Firefly.
Yes.
But I know we have a full crew, more than full. We have a lot of people on, but just as a warning, Captain.
I aim to misbehave.
Good to know. Wait, you aim to misbehave?
This episode's going to be a little fun.
Oh my gosh. Well, in addition to Paul, also for this discussion of the film Serenity, we welcome back aboard Christian radio broadcaster and co-host of the Geek at Arms podcast, James Felix. Hey, James.
Permission to come aboard, Captain.
Permission granted.
Shiny, let's be bad guys.
Yeah. In addition, we are glad to have back aboard Communications Chief Ken Cummings. Hey, Ken.
Am I allowed to come on?
Yes, I suppose so.
Welcome back.
Communications.
Welcome back.
I mean, we can't communicate with anybody, right? So if I get you out of the tough communications problems with Alliance, then you need me, right?
Well, we also have back another communications
Never
chief,
mind.
Deb Powers, who may not need you.
Goodbye.
Permission to come aboard, Captain.
Permission granted. See, I like this. I like everyone asking permission. That's so nice.
I thought we already left. How come people are still asking to come aboard?
Oh my gosh, Paul. And finally, we're glad to have aboard Historian Officer Celeste Mora. Hey, Celeste.
Hello. I do what I want.
Oh my god. Wow. This isn't the train job, Ken. This is Serenity. Oh my gosh. Now that you have a not so quick flyby of who we are, Paul, can you give us a quick overview of the production specs for Serenity?
Sure. Serenity was released October 16th, 1998.
2000 something, because I'm
Sorry,
doing
Yeah.
the other Serenity with the boat. That's actually VR or something.
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
rated R, runs an hour and 46 minutes, was written, directed by Stephen Knight, and lead starts being Matthew McConaughey, Anne Hathaway, and Diane Lane. The music was written by Benjamin Wallfish. What?
You watched the wrong movie again, Paul.
What? You said Serenity!
I feel like you're doing this intentionally now.
Oh, fine. Hold on. Let me go back and watch the right one. All right. Serenity. The one that was released September 30th in 2005?
That is the one.
No,
yes.
the one Matthew McConaughey. What are you talking about? What?
Yeah.
Oh, with John Cusack and Kate Beckinsdale and Jeremy Piven.
That's serendipity.
Besides the cannibals, they're basically the same thing.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Serenity, released in 2005, runs an hour and 59 minutes and is rated PG-13. It was written and directed by Joss Whedon, with lead stars being Nathan Fillion, Alan Tudyk, Gina Torres, and Chiwetel Ejiofor. Sorry, I can't pronounce names.
Chiwetel Ejiofor, I believe. Is how it's
Chiwetel. A Jew.
Chiwetel Ejiofor, I think.
Chiwetel.
Oh my gosh. Just
All right. Whatever. All right. You ready for the box office trivia, or do you want to know that David Newman composed the music first?
I mean, I'd like to know that, yes, but
Okay.
I'm ready for the box office trivia. Ken, Celeste, James, Deb, are you all ready to guess where this placed in the box office?
I am ready.
Oh,
Yes.
good. And anyone here live in chat, Rosie, Ashley, Star Fox, you're welcome to guess as well. Okay, go for it, Paul.
All right. Serenity was made for about $39 million and earned just over $40 million in the box office.
That stinks. What?
No.
Wait, cost 39, made 40.
Yeah. Anything higher, I know don't count marketing and all that. It's if it made more than that it cost to make, we count it as making money.
I guess so.
All right, given this fact and that it was released in 2005, how high in the box office do you think it ranks among the movies released theatrically in 2005? So, right. Captain, how many episodes of Firefly were there?
14.
All right, just to make this a little bit more interesting, we're going to go for the top 140. Put a 0 at the end of that.
I was going to say top 14. I'm like, okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, we're going to make it even more.
Let's start with Deb. Between 1 and 140, where would you think Serenity ranks?
In the year 2005?
Yes.
I was going to say 15.
Okay. 15. Okay. Wow. Ken, how about you?
42.
42. Nice. Celeste?
Took my answer. 104. No, I can't go that far.
Oh, yeah. 84 is double of 42.
That doesn't work. I'm going to say 30.
30. James, what is your guess?
As much as I love this movie, it just did not do great at the box office. I'm going to say 85.
85. All right. Let's see. In chat, we have Star Fox guesses 25. I'm going to guess.
Lady Rosie.
And Rosie guesses 68. I want this to be in like the top 20, but I don't think it is. So I'm going to guess. I'm just going to go solid 50. Paul, where did it actually end up?
All right. According to the-numbers.com, y'all bid too low. It's 110.
Oh.
Or I should say you bid too high.
Yeah, too high. Exactly.
Well, 40 million, you're like 40 million. Okay, well, wait. What was 2005? What was the number one movie 2005?
I don't know.
Was a Harry Potter movie.
Oh, that makes sense.
Well, it got me as like, I haven't looked at the fact that on IMDb it was a 39 million budget, 40 million worldwide. I'm like, oh, that sucks. No wonder there wasn't a sequel.
Yeah.
Because it didn't quite make the cut.
Yeah.
I loved it. Like, where's the more movie? But okay.
Right. Hey, don't go talking about your likes and stuff yet.
I didn't. Who knows? Yeah. No, I didn't.
You might as well have just said it was a classic just then.
I didn't telegraph anything.
Thank you for those factoids, Paul. And let's see if any of them factor into our memory mind melts or subsequent roundtable discussion, which we'll get into once Alice has located our target film.
Alert, alert. Approaching target. Spoilers incoming. Establishing analysis vector.
This is the captain. We may experience some slight turbulence and then explode.
I don't want to explode.
The crew of Serenity's newest passenger.
You know that guy?
I really don't. Just might be more than they can handle.
That girl will rain destruction down on you and your ship. So where's it writ that we gotta lay down our lives for her?
You want to run this ship?
Yes.
Well, you can't.
Serenity, rated PG-13. In theater September 30th.
Even though we didn't get to finish it all, but you listening to the podcast obviously heard it all. Even though that commercial definitely brings back some memories about Serenity, hopefully for you. But to give you some context for the things we collectively remembered before our rewatch, here's our memory mind melt synopsis for Serenity. Firefly crew takes a job to hold up a bank where River saves Castle. Wow. In a bar fight, bringing heat to crew and operative. Space consultant kills space middle management in second worst audit in company history. Oh no. Space zombies attacked due to a government conspiracy. I'm not threatening you. I'm unarmed. Good. Bang. Captain Hammer, oh my gosh, takes crew to find out secret on planet where Alliance accidentally made Reavers. I'm a leaf on the wind. Watch me soar. Cry emoji. Cactoid Jim teaches a Terminator about love and spaceships. Wow, all the references. And they live happily ever after.
Reaver killing Cactoid Jim.
Some of that was maybe right, but most of it was accepted. But based on those memories, as flawed as they were, what range did they lead you to predict for this film before rewatching it? Classic, nostalgic, or tragic? We'll start with Deb again. What was your prediction for this film, Deb?
Because I like Firefly so much, I thought it would be a classic.
Classic. How about you, Ken?
Classic. Absolutely.
Classic as well. Celeste, how about you?
I have the same reasoning as Deb. I thought it was going to be a classic.
All right. James, what say you?
Love Firefly, love this movie, but I'm going to have to go nostalgic for it.
Nostalgic. Okay, interesting.
You make me sad.
Paul, how about you?
I haven't seen this movie in a while, maybe even since the theaters or shortly thereafter.
Okay.
But I remember liking it, so I predicted classic.
Okay. I was always a fan of this. I remember I'm one of those OG fans. I watched Firefly when it was out on TV originally on Fox, and I couldn't wait for this movie to come out. I remember going and seeing it like opening weekend, and I remember even. Well, I won't get into the story time of it, but I predicted classic because I have such fond memories and have enjoyed whenever I've watched it. So it'll be interesting to see if those predictions come true. But first, let's get into our discussion of Serenity. Let's spin up our
Best bets.
So let's start with, I'm going to start with Celeste this time. What's one thing you liked about Serenity?
I wasn't expecting to go first, so I hadn't pulled my notes up yet.
I have nothing I liked. Why did you expect me to like something, Francisco?
Okay. So I thoroughly enjoyed the actress who played Rivers acting.
Summer
I
Glau,
thought
yeah.
she did a phenomenal job of playing that type of a character, because it's not easy to play insane. So there was at one point she said something about
her brain.
I don't even know what I'm talking about half the time.
Yeah,
she really like in
that
the
was a good
paint
scene.
that statement kind of made it obvious that, you know, this is not like, she doesn't enjoy being cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. This is not something she would have chosen.
Absolutely.
I had to look up. Summer Glau was born in 81. So at the time of this movie, she was 24. Okay. And she was playing a 17-year-old. Yeah. I mean, obviously, Summer Glau, I saw her in Terminator, everything's after that. And it was like interesting to see her. Yeah. I agree with you. She did a good job. Great job.
Yeah.
Ken, was there another character that made your like list, or did something else really resonate with you?
The verse and the world that was created.
The world.
I mean, I remember. So my friend Norman loaned me the DVDs. I didn't know the show was on Fox, and so I loaned the DVDs. Like, what? This is great. And he's like, yeah, it was no more. Right? They canceled. Like, I forget when I saw the movie. I don't know if I saw the movie live or the time it came out or not. But I love the story. Always wanted more. I mean, whenever I saw Nathan Fillion, like I want to watch because I liked him, or Alan Tudyk, or any of them. You know, Summer Glau, or I mean, I knew Ryan Glass from Barney Miller, and all of these people. I just wanted to see them wherever they were at. You know, so yeah, it was the verse and the world they created. I loved it because the idea that the world is English and Chinese and the alliance and everything else. It was good. I liked the world.
Awesome, very cool. Deb, what's something you really liked about? I was about to say Firefly, about the movie Serenity.
I love the relationship between Kaylee and Simon. Yeah, because I'm a sucker for romance, and I just love that whole storyline. So
the heavy makeout scene at the
no, but
it wasn't that heavy.
To finally see like all this like pent up romance sort of finally have
after 14 episodes and a full length movie at the end. It wasn't just a kiss, it was just a full on like
yes, exactly.
Well, missing the way she expressed it, right? She was like, "Oh, this time I'm just like wait, whoa, okay," and the fan service, right? Yeah. Finally, you finally resolved that whole thing, okay?
Yes.
And I love Kaylee's line when she says, "Well, I'm gonna live."
James, were there any like quotes that made your like list or characters or something else?
when Serenity finally comes back onto the screen and it pans around and she starts entering the atmosphere, the buffer panel flies off.
Yes.
And we are treated to this incredible long take, which takes us into the ship and slowly reintroduces us to all of these characters and the interior of this wonderful ship itself. It was such a great way to bring it all together and to bring them to the forefront, remind you, hey, these people that you love, these characters you fall in love with, they're back. They're the same as they've always been. They're on the job. Let's get into the action.
Yeah, I think it was really well told how they start. I think, if I'm remembering right, they start with like Earth It Was, like this sort of school setting that then it goes in, it's Summer River dreaming that. And so you see she's in this facility and they're doing mind control. And then that's actually, and then you see Simon break her out. And then that's actually a hologram that the operative, Chujel Ejiofor, is watching. And then that's when
intros does this movie have?
Yeah, it has a lot, but I feel like it does a great job of like bringing people up to speed that may not watch the show or have forgotten about the show. So,
in that one long take, it also perfectly introduces you to the kid like you get Wash's humor and sarcasm.
Yes.
You get the captain's exasperation. You get James like, explode. I don't want to explode.
Yeah.
It wasn't on my top 3. But that was it. I mean, that the whole introduction got you back into the world. It told the story for those who weren't there before, and those who were there got you to catch up every step of the way. The beginning with Summer, with River, and then of course the whole into the ship. And as they were acting through the ship, they were talking about their whole relationships in a sense. It's like it just clapped everything perfectly well together. So you're right.
Absolutely.
Great example. Don't tell us, show it to us. And they did that perfectly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Go ahead.
As someone who this movie was my introduction to Firefly, I would definitely agree with that.
I was able to give sort of a level set for you. I was like, who these people are. I know I've heard some people that this was their first exposure to this world, and like, seems like they actually it's in our listener feedback, but like everything seemed collapsed. Like, why are they? It seemed like they're trying to squish a whole season of TV into one movie. And it's like, well, yeah, that's kind of what they had to do. But, Paul, what's something that you felt collapsed into one of your likes? Yeah, that's the segue I'll go with.
One of the things that I was super impressed by, this almost made my classic maker, was the humor.
Yes.
And there was a lot of humor throughout. It was well paced. It wasn't just like in the few spots. I mean, even though this movie had like a lot of action and drama and sad parts, the humor was evenly paced throughout the whole thing. And there was a lot of it. And that is hard to find in movies and TV these days. So
absolutely,
I really enjoyed the humor, and it's very impressive that they were to pull that kind of humor throughout the entirety. Is that the word?
Yeah, well, in the entire movie,
of the movie, yeah.
In the scene where they're at the companion house and Mal is meeting the operative for the first time, and the operative gives him this cold grace. I have a warship in deep orbit that's going to send a missile your way in a second, or to your ship. And I'm thinking, okay, this is where this is taking a turn. They're about to get serious. And Mal goes, if you do that, you best make peace with your dear and fluffy lord.
And tosses him the knapsack or something.
Pulse,
whatever.
Beacon.
Yeah.
Pulse beacon, yeah. Pulse beacon. Yeah.
Did you catch the very end? The very end, River's in the seat, right? Maybe do captain, so to speak, the pilot, right? And then they take off, and all of a sudden you see his panel come off, and Mel's like, what was that?
What was that? Yeah.
I'm like, wait, one last joke at the very end. Okay, yeah.
Yes. And I'm very my like is very similar to yours, Paul, but the story I feel like overall was interesting and it itself was paced really well. There wasn't like a moment where I'm like checking my phone or like, oh, okay, now this part's dragging. I don't feel like there's any of that through that. It just like a new peril that they had to get through. Oh, now they're safe for a little bit, but we don't stay there for very long. And like Haven, it's just I just really liked
the pacing,
the pacing, and I thought it was really cool learning that the government made the Reavers. I thought that was a really interesting concept. It's a little retcon from the show because I think that's not where they really were going based on some of the stuff they said in the show.
Or maybe
that's
they were as a misdirection.
I guess it could be.
In the show, they said there were stories. There were rumors.
That's a good point. That's a good point. But
2/3 through this movie, I started writing my notes. I go write my notes. Bad parts of the movie? Are there already?
We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
There are some in my list too, but I was just loving it. I was loving it watching it again.
But you mentioned you like the pace, Francisco, and several people have mentioned that it felt like there was like a whole season crammed. I didn't feel it was anything was crammed in here.
I didn't feel that way. I know other people have felt that way, but I didn't get that.
Okay,
sense.
so it's not just
there are some things which we'll get to in our next dislike section which didn't make sense to me, but one last thing on the story I really appreciate, and I felt like it was very like apropos to today that government wants to make everyone nice to each other. They want to be in control of things, not let people be free. So I thought that was interesting thing that's still very relevant to today, in my opinion.
I had forgotten that ending. So it was interesting. You're right. Make everyone pacified. It'd all be that nice.
Yeah, I almost made me think this is spoiler for the movie Equilibrium. So if you've never seen that movie, tune out for a few seconds. But in that one, the government's giving. Oh, Paul hasn't seen it. All right. The government's giving everyone things to suppress their emotions, so you can't feel, and it just sort of reminded me of that in a way. I guess that's not really a spoiler. That's sort of the premise of the film. But okay, you're good now, Paul. Anyway. Now that we've all shared one like, let's get into our classic makers, the things we loved most about Serenity. I'm going to start with Deb this time. What's your favorite thing about this film?
Well, I think Ken said basically the dialogue, which includes the humor, and I love the fact that they have Chinese mixed in with English, so that in the extras in the DVD that I have, Joss Whedon talked about how he put the two powers together, two major world powers together, and they were gonna to make one power, and so that's why Chinese and English are together. Yeah, and it just really set up the whole world. And I love the dialogue, which includes the humor, and then I love Malcolm's statement, "I aim to misbehave." Yes, I mean, Gary. It was great. So I think the dialogue and all their choices really made the universe believable.
Absolutely.
The Chinese, actually, if you go and look, there's a couple websites online where you can go for the translations. And some of it is just astounding as to, like, it adds to the stuff, like the scene where River they're on Miranda and she says a bunch of Chinese, and then she goes, "Make me a stone."
Yep.
The line, according to this website, I did not translate this, but the line in Chinese that she said is, "I will close my ears and my heart, and I will be a stone."
Oh, wow. Crazy. That's very cool.
I thought it said, "I will not eat them, Sam. I am. I do not like green eggs and ham."
You know, that might have been earlier in the show.
It was Cantonese for "You shall bring me a shrubbery."
No,
I'm sorry. We were probably on the wrong website.
Oh my gosh. James, no shrubberies here. What did you really enjoy?
Well,
what was your favorite
classic
thing
maker
about Serenity? Not Monty Python.
Well, for me, it always comes back to the characters, to Mal, Zoe, Jane, Wash, and Nara, all of them. I mean, we were given 14 episodes to get to know them, and I've never fallen in love with a cast the way that I did for the episode, for the show Firefly, and how perfectly cast they were, how well they played these characters, how great the characters were, and how well this cast meshed together. You know, the chemistry between all of them. There wasn't a single one of them that was held back or that wasn't as good as the rest. They all contributed equally, and to have them back in this movie, just brought that love. It almost created like an ache in me. I'm like, okay, this was wonderful, but I want more.
Yes, yes.
I want so much more. And
absolutely,
but to get to see them all on the screen one more time was such a joy.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have to mention that I was able to see the main cast all in person appear at a convention and get their autographs.
Very cool.
That was amazing. All except Nathan. He was supposed to be there but had to cancel. But I did get to see him in person at Comic-Con in San Diego for Castle. So I did get my Nathan Fillion fix there. But they were all so wonderful, and it was at the height of the Firefly series, and it was an amazing experience.
That's so cool, Deb. Wow.
Yeah, to try to get that cast back together would take quite a feat to do. But that goes. Go ahead.
Into your Cosmic Paul. Go for it.
And that is the cast of the main crew. It is like if they were to they talk about remaking the Firefly series or even like a movie or a one-off or a special like that. But honestly, if they were to do it now, they've all aged. And I hate to say it, but it probably wouldn't be as good today as it would have been like back then. So. Or even if they recast it, it's still not the same as these actors.
Exactly.
So to see the original crew, the original cast, they didn't recast anybody like they sometimes do for a movie when switching from TV. So to have the whole original crew back in this cast is my classic maker.
Oh, cool. Yeah. And I wonder, I feel like this universe, you could tell other stories of other crews in it that might be as interesting. I would prefer that to trying to capture lightning in a bottle again with this, because it's just going to fall flat. You're not going to be able to do it, in my opinion.
It would be fun to do a story of their children or something like that.
Oh yeah, their children, like Zoe. Well, Zoe and Wash didn't have kids because.
But I was thinking like Malcolm's son, and if Inara was the mother.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Particularly Simon's kid, trying to decide, am I going to be a doctor? Am I going to be a mechanic?
Oh, yeah.
Why not both?
My crazy aunt wants me to do something else.
Exactly.
And why don't I look like Zac Efron?
Wow.
That's because Zac Efron played him as a kid for those.
Yes, I know. Oh, are you just sharing that for everyone? Yes. Okay.
Holy cow.
Let's go to Celeste next. What was your classic maker for Serenity?
My classic maker is the sarcasm, the humor.
Okay.
The everything in the show is so well timed as far as the humor, because it's real easy to just kind of rely on the serious scenes, but Paul really hit it earlier, having
those comedic beats.
The comedic beats is really difficult, and it lightens the mood. It makes the story easier to handle, because this is some pretty serious stuff that they're talking about.
Yep. Yeah.
And like, Reapers are basically space zombies, and I am not a zombie fan. So for me, going back and watching this, I was like, how did I watch this as a kid?
Oh, wow.
I watched it like right after it came to DVD. And so I was like, how did I do this? Because I've never liked zombies. And then it occurred to me, well, they were being funny. The humor kind of lightened it so they could talk about the more serious things like government conspiracy.
I will
deal with death.
I will say, just because many of you guys have brought up the humor, and that's not my classic maker, but I want to add to that because it's totally true. I feel like, as much as I know Joss Whedon sort of fallen from grace recently, and certainly in my mind he has, and I know in general he has, but I don't think that takes away from his writing prowess to be able to write comedy and drama so well. And I mean that I don't think that just because things happen in like real life, I don't think that diminishes anyone's talent necessarily. So I do want to speak that's amazing. That I mean, I'll just say God gifted him with such a talent that we get to benefit from. So
for better or for worse.
For better or for worse, exactly. I mean, that's everyone. What's the line from Dark Knight? You either die here or you live long enough to become the villain. Yeah. So
right. Yeah.
Ideally, we don't do that. Those of us who are Christ followers. But anyway,
what does that say about the Retro Rewind podcast going on over 10 years now?
Oh no, we're going to become the villain of our podcast.
We haven't yet. We need to get on that.
Ken, speaking of villains. No. What is
that's it. Okay, wow, okay.
Out again.
Well, I deserve to be ejected for that. Ken, what's your classic maker for Serenity?
Nathan Fillion, Gina Torres, Ellen Tudyk, Marina Baccarin, Adam Baldwin, Jules State, Sean Maher, Summer Glau, Ron Glass. The crew.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Ron Glass passed away in 2016, so obviously you can't get him back. But the crew, I mean, that's the one thing you get when you saw them all together again. I mean, it's only 2005. The show was off in 2003, so it's a couple of years. And I've tried to follow them along the way. I mean, Alan Tudyk had been some in the Star Wars universe. He was in Rogue One playing one of the
K2,
droids,
I think.
Right? Yeah. I mean, I said Marina Baccarin has been in Stargate as well as Homeland and then V and other things, right?
Deadpool
and Adam
movies.
Baldwin's been around. Jules State, I haven't seen much. Her and Sean haven't seen around, but Summer Glau's been Terminator. Those characters, those classic characters they made, and I'm glad they brought him back into the universe. It's like one of the things where I'd forgotten the movie. I've seen it. And so when Wash gets killed, I was watching it right here on my computer, right? Like, no! I'm like, I yelled out loud, right? I forgot that he got killed in the movie, right? And I'm like, oh my word, I forgot that. I was like, because I like Wash, like Alan Tudyk, and it's like,
that's
oh my
funny,
god.
Every moment I was like, oh, is this it? Is this it? Is this it? And I forgot that, and the other doesn't happen until the end of the movie. I forgot that the shepherd also got killed. There's a lot of
I thought Shepherd got killed too. I mean, that one when he got killed, I'm like, man,
people bring up those deaths online, especially Wash, and I'll still be like, this happened 15 years ago. I'm like, too soon, guys, too soon.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And especially after that, you watch Gina Torres' character, right? You know, first, of course, her whole demeanor was like, but then she becomes like this rigid, non-emotional soldier again. Okay? And it's like, you're figuring she's going to sacrifice herself for the rest, and she's going to die at this, right? Because I don't care anymore. Okay? I'm going to die with everybody, right? And save the rest of the crew, even though she survives. And it's like, but still, the crew as a whole, the crew is what made my classic maker.
Yeah,
absolutely. I can totally resonate with that. I loved all the crew, but the person I loved the most was actually Mal. I think because of his arc in this, and this even goes from the series. He finally in this movie he finds a cause that's greater than himself, which he lost. He had that in the war. Where he is like fine for the brown coats. What was it? What were they called though? Not the rebels, but Independence. Thank you, James. The Independence, and you could tell he was totally like this is what I was made to do, and he totally lost that. He found some of it having this crew, but he felt like a hollowed out character in several places throughout the series because of what happened, but finally he regains that sort of meaning and purpose in like, okay, I'm aiming to misbehave. I'm gonna make sure this bit everyone knows so that the Lions, everyone can see how corrupt they are. And what was that?
I was about to say, I thought he was a bit mean, a little more mean in this movie rather than the previous episodes. He was a little more laid back, and in this movie, he's like from the get-go, he's like, boom, I'm the captain. And get in your face kind of a thing. And I think whoa, calm down.
It's almost like he's like this during the series, and then he sort of nosedives because Anar is left, Shepherd Book is left, people are leaving, so he's getting more and more hard, and I think it's just making it more exasperated how sort of meanish he is. But I think that's what really propels him.
I'm sorry, he does get that line. Ahead. He's like, look, I got bits falling off my boat, people who want to get paid, and a powerful need to eat sometime this month.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
He's hangry. That's what it is. Okay.
I think for the movie, they also wanted to bring Mal from where he was at this point to the end. Because you thought about the fact that he left that person behind, right? And Gina Torres' character is like, what are you doing? Zoe's like, what you do with that? We never left anybody behind, right? But yeah, I have, like I said, all the things I try to do to save everybody else. And then, of course, when he brings River back on board, he looks at Zoe, and Zoe, of course, because he had changed a little bit, and River, okay, not leaving someone behind.
Yeah.
And it's like, so I think they wanted this to, for the audience, and those who have not seen the movie, to recognize a redemption or a change in character from who Mal was to where he's going to be at the end.
Absolutely. And I mean, so redemptions are great arcs, but they may not be the best part of the movies. In fact, there's maybe things we don't like about this movie. So let's get into the things. Oh,
what?
Dang, I'm checking my notes. Yeah, I forgot something else I like, guys. Yeah,
I'll be back in 5 minutes when you're done with it.
Oh my gosh, sometimes I just go through my notes too quick.
Likes, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, but I'm the captain. I get to share something else I like. So,
you're hangry too. We want to hear what you liked, Francis.
Oh, thank you, Deb. And that thing would be Geek Devotions. Geek Devotions is a collaboration of devout geeks that are devoted to letting people know that they are loved. They produce a weekly geek culture infused devotional. There are podcasts, Talk, and written articles, all designed to encourage and challenge people in the geek community, bridging the gap between their faith and their geekdoms. Find all their content at geekdevotions.com.
Woohoo!
I've been set up.
That's great, Francisco, and I'm so glad that we have Celeste on to help us from Geek Devotions.
Yes.
But what does that have to do with Serenity?
Well, so Geek Devotions has become like a large group of people now, all making devotionals that Dallas and Celeste head. So it's kind of like the Mal and Zoe heading up this crew of people that are doing Geek Devotions.
But in Serenity, their crew's getting smaller.
They just need to
Paul.
Podcasts.
Fine. How about you want
dying too?
Hey, we're all dying. Every day you're living, you're dying somehow. Fine, Paul. You want some more? How about some trivia about Serenity? Would that be better?
Yeah, let's do trivia.
All right. Did you all realize that the main inspiration for the Fruity Oaty Bar commercial came from the Simpsons the Simpsons episode In Marge We Trust, in which Homer Simpson appears in a bizarre Japanese commercial for Mr. Sparkle.
Oh, Mr. Sparkle.
Yes. Dishwashing detergent. The commercial, the Fruity Bar, went through several revisions. With each pass, Joss Whedon would simply tell the animators to make it stranger.
Nice.
So my question to you all is, has there ever been an episode of The Simpsons that inspired you in some way? It could be because you may say a line all the time now from it, or it made you want to make something else. So let's start with Paul this time. Has it inspired you, Paul?
Well, okay. So whenever anyone mentions the butterfly effect, where you go back in time and you change just the slightest little thing, and then how the future can drastically change just by changing one slight thing. Different people have different reference points, like Back to the Future, Doc's alternate timeline thing. My brain goes back to Simpsons season 6, episode 6, The Treehouse of Horror number 5.
Oh yeah,
where it's called the little clip is called Time and Punishment, where Homer goes in the back like prehistoric. He accidentally invents a time machine through a toast anyway. And he keeps going back in time and changing his future. So I'm inspired to, even though we have a time machine on this show, not to change anything in the past because it'll drastically change the future. And in my head, I always think back to this part of The Simpsons.
Okay. Interesting. Deb, let's keep this Powers trains going. Deb, I don't know if you're a Simpsons fan, but is there anything from The Simpsons that's inspired you?
Well, since Paul's brother was a huge Simpsons fan, we couldn't help but I didn't watch a lot of episodes, but when we were living in Japan, Mr. Spakaru was quoted quite a bit in our family.
That's awesome.
So that was a big deal for us.
Okay, very cool. Celeste, I know you mentioned offline that you haven't seen much of The Simpsons, but is there anything that you were inspired by the little you have seen?
You said quote, and so I went, oh, I have one for that.
Oh, okay.
We frequently, Dallas and I, as we're leaving the house, we'll go, let's rock and or roll. And that's probably the extent of my knowledge of The Simpsons. That's the only scene that I've seen because Dallas had to explain himself as to why he always said that.
Gotcha. How about you,
Wait,
James?
that's not a Mega Man reference? To rock?
Maybe both? It could be both.
Could be both.
How about you, James?
In the episode And Maggie Makes Three, Homer was telling a story about, what life was like before they had their third kid.
Oh, yes.
They paid off some bills, and he got to quit his job at the power plant and get his dream job, his dream career, working at the bowling alley. And I mean, really, who wouldn't dream of that prestigious gig?
Yeah.
Then he, Marge gets pregnant again, and so he has to go trudging back to the nuclear power plant. And Mr. Burns, the evil sadist that he is, puts up a sign in his room that says, "You're here forever." And then Homer takes pictures of his daughter and puts them all over the sign so it says, "Do it for her."
Aww.
And it made me think. There's been a couple of times I've had crummy jobs or times where I have been, unsatisfied with what I'm working at. But I just think that, you know what, it's fine because I've got 3 great kids at home, a wonderful family, and this is finite. This is temporary.
Yeah.
Better things are on the way, and what at home is real, and the hard times at work, those can be gotten through.
A blessing from the Lord. God be praised.
Why are we bringing up Monty Python again?
Anyway, fart in your general direction.
Let me center myself. Okay. Ken, now that I'm recentered, is there anything that The Simpsons has inspired you to quote, do, make?
No.
Okay.
Now go away or I shall taunt you a second time.
Paul?
So I know the show's been around for a long time. Do you guys remember where it first popped up? Here's a trivia question. Where did Simpsons first pop up?
What's her name?
The Tracy Ullman Show?
Yeah.
Tracy Ullman Show. So I watched those little clips on Tracy Ullman Show. I saw Tracy Ullman Show. I love the Tracy Ullman Show. My wife. And when it made a TV show, I was like, okay, whatever. I didn't really watch it. So I've been on for 25 years now. It's been going on for forever. And I've not really watched it. So.
Oh, okay.
Hey,
but I remember seeing the originals back when it was on the tree.
Yeah, when there were squiggly drawings and the voices all changed. Hey, Tracy Ullman, she was in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Oh, Men in Tights. Men in Tights, and she played.
Away!
Why?
Love it. I love the transition.
But how do you know she's a witch?
Just a flesh wound.
How's that for trivia, Paul?
That's great. Yeah, sure.
Good.
Great trivia. Great trivia, Francisco.
Thank you.
And now that we've all had some trivial fun, let's find out what memories you, our awesome rewinders, had about Serenity.
Dustin Warford says, a great send-off for a series that was canceled way too soon. Nathan Fillion's best role ever.
Sorry, I'm still trying to make the transition from Monty Python to Serenity. Okay. All right, Adam Coolings says...
Collins.
Oh, yeah, that too, Collings. He says death. Lots of death. LOL. I don't know why he's laughing at lots of death.
Death. I love it. Nathan James Norman says, I watched this with my dad before seeing Firefly, and we both really liked it, but we both thought it felt like they crammed an entire season's worth of content into a movie. That's fair.
Well, maybe your seasons are too long and boring.
Wow.
All right. David Gardner, says the Lions didn't think about the ramifications of bringing the big brass around a psychic, and the Ravengers didn't think about the ramifications of bringing themselves around a psycho.
Whoa. I think you meant
good
Reapers,
plot synopsis there.
Indeed. Stanley Wright says, I wish this would have kicked off a next season, but sadly we were left wanting. Yeah.
Michael Fraley says, quote, "Guy killed me, Mal. He killed me with the sword." And he also says, also something I've said both to and about James Felix, who has stabbed me with the sword multiple times. I have proof.
Wow, James, you want to explain yourself?
No.
Pokey.
Michael and I used to belong to a Renaissance style fencing club. And so we would study the masters of 15th and 16th century sword fighting, put on safety equipment, get swords, and attempt to stab each other.
Tis but a scratch. A scratch? Your arm's off.
Just a scratch. Just a flesh wound.
But sometimes we would call it a draw.
Yeah.
It's a draw.
James Harleman. James Harleman. Not my brother. James Harleman. Says the James Dean of sci-fi lived fast, died hard, and left a good-looking legacy. Alternatively, it would have dried up creatively and been run into the ground. We will always think it's awesome in parts because it was brief. That's an interesting thought about that. Maybe.
Yeah, it's hard to argue that against it because the opposite didn't
don't
happen.
know.
Yeah. And the Dapper Man says, "It was as bland and dull as a celebrity giving a self-righteous speech during their Academy Award acceptance ceremony."
Oh, dude.
Whoa. Well, thank you for sharing all your memories. But I think Dapper Man leads us into things that may mean this is very dull and boring and self-righteous.
Slow and boring.
Yeah, slow and boring. Yes, that too, Paul.
Well, the show is over. Okay.
No, it's not, because we're going to get
no
into
tragic. There's nothing happening here, you know.
Worst clothes.
Randy, let's be bad guys.
Yes, let's be bad guys. Talk about the bad things about Serenity. And let's start with James. I know you're a big fan of this, but what's something you didn't like about this film?
Okay, so we've talked a lot about how people say that, this was actually just the second season of Firefly jammed back into a 2-hour movie.
They wish.
Here is why I felt like that, why that feeling of, or that, because a lot was packed in to this movie. And it's one of my dislikes, but not because I think that there was a whole lot of issues with the pacing or the writing or the plot progression. Why it's a dislike for me is because what I felt was a loss of so much was shown. Like, we're introduced to how, the actuality of how Simon broke out River, the operative, how Shepard Book left the ship. And so, the kind of how the ship itself, Serenity, and all the crew have gotten down on their luck. That's why they're having to take this job from Fanti and Mingo. And so much was left on the table, and I felt this loss of what could have been.
Oh, I see.
As much as I was so happy for this movie, it just left me thinking how much more could have been explained and shown, and more of these characters, we'd have seen that growth over another season.
So your dislike was that this movie wasn't long enough.
That's pretty much. Like, we had the Snyder cut of the Justice League. Where's the Whedon cut?
Oh my gosh!
Serenity, which is just happens to last 13 hours.
Oh my word! That's
I'd buy that for $1.
Oh my gosh! Well, what part of this movie wouldn't you buy for $1, Paul? Because
gosh. Francisco, over this past year, we reviewed every single episode of Firefly. Those that aired and didn't air, eventually aired in the UK, the 3. And so over the 14 episodes, we had guests come on. And I think every single time somebody had the dislike of... the most common dislike throughout the series was the special effects were like lame, like didn't hold up. I'm here's a movie. They have no excuse this time. But sure enough, especially at the beginning, the ships, for whatever reason, when they're not in space, but they're on the planet, they look like they're cut and paste like in Microsoft Paint with the hard edges. It's like, let's get some decent special effects around here.
Paul, are you watching this? Oh my gosh! Paul, are you watching this on UHD? Because you watched. Okay, see, I watched just the DVD through a Blu-ray player.
Well, when you upscale it to 4K, you can totally tell.
Yeah, I watched it on 4K as well, and there was some moments that the ship was looking a little rough.
Oh, okay, all right.
You can't watch a 2005 movie with
Watch me! I did it.
2022 machine.
Look,
technology.
this is after the Matrix, and after the Matrix Reloaded, and the third one, Revolution.
No, the third one doesn't help your case.
No, but the special effects in it are amazing comparatively.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I would agree with that.
They ain't got the
that's a good
budget.
point.
We got fired by Fox budget.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's true. They didn't have the Matrix budget for sure.
Yeah, and that's
$39
a
million compared to Matrix Revolutions. I'm sure Matrix Revolutions was in the close to hundreds of millions.
Okay.
100 million.
Okay. But it's a space movie,
Yeah.
and you expect a certain level, and it's disappointing that throughout the series you say, okay, they're on a TV budget. Okay, here we have a movie. Okay, they're on a TV budget. What?
All right, that's fair, Paul. I like I said, I'm watching on a 1080p screen, but it's the DVD, I guess, up-res to that, and it looked fine to me. I didn't notice.
All right, so in order to appreciate the special effects, you have to watch it on DVD, not anything more pixels than that.
So I noticed 2005 also was number 2 was Star Wars Episode 3.
That's right.
So I guess if you're like comparing $49 million budget for Firefly to whatever Lucas did for Rise of the Sith. Okay, I guess your point.
I will say that I can remember because I went and saw Serenity in the theaters like 4 maybe 5 times.
Oh wow!
And from back then, seeing it in theater, none of the special effects bothered me.
I don't remember them bothering me either.
I thought they looked clean and tight. And a serious upgrade from the television show.
Yes.
It was better than the TV series.
Yeah.
But it wasn't there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It wasn't Lucasfilm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Serenity got beat by Fantastic Four?
Absolutely.
Oh my god.
Ouch. Ooh, let's not mention that again.
Ever again.
Now, Fantastic Four or Fan Four Stick?
No, Fantastic Four.
Okay.
Fantastic Four. Oh my word. Batman Begins. Same year. Okay. Wow.
Let's see. Let's go to Deb next. What's something that didn't look good to your eyes about this film?
Okay, the thing that bothered me was and it's just a plot issue. Was the violence was kind of too much in parts. Like, I mean, the very first scene has got a needle stuck in Summer Glau's forehead. I was like, whoa, that's just right out of the gate. It's just like in your face. And
it's only a model.
Whatever, but I didn't want to see that.
Yeah.
No, I get that.
And then, I mean, it wasn't too bad, even with River beating everybody up. That was I could handle that. But it was just so heartbreaking in the end when the bad guy kills all of Mal's friends. You know,
oh yeah, an operative does.
He kills Mr. Universe, and he kills the guys that hired him, and you know, I mean, just all his, and he goes to Haven and kills everybody there, men, women, children, everybody.
When
I was like,
to ground, leave no ground to go to.
That was just.
So you weren't laughing out loud at all the death?
No.
Oh, okay.
She was going, collect your dead.
Bring out.
Sure.
Bring out your dead.
Just a flesh wound. I'm not dead yet.
Guys, we're covering Serenity, not my Python.
What?
So that was,
that was
I would have liked
the violence and
I mean, I could have understood if the bad guy went after just one of their connections, but the fact that he hit every single one is just
like overkill. Yeah, I guess that, but shows his evilness. But I get how that can be.
Yeah, I mean,
sounds efficient.
I understand why they made those choices, because that added to the determination of the bad guy,
and it rose the stakes.
Stakes. So I understand, but I didn't have any fun watching it. That's for sure. I didn't want to see that.
Totally understandable. Ken, what's something that wasn't fun for you to watch? Was it the violence?
Well, when they were doing that reference to the Monty Python, when they bring out your dad and put on the ship, No, just kidding. So when I was on one of the episodes I was on this past year, I did help review one of the episodes, right? Mm-hmm. And I think it was episode 1 or 2, I forget it was, right? And I was like, I'm like, the way they had Baldwin's character, right? Jane being the total whatever, right? I thought it was terrible. But it reminded again that, making Jane the bad guy, just like the TV show where we reviewed, I'm like, that was my weak point, I mean, I get the fact that he had to be something because he had to show something happening because he was the guy who went in and tried to, I'm going to take care of River. And then all of a sudden she escapes, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like, I know that's his character. That's what he does, right? Even though he's also, when he comes through, he comes through. I mean, he is this total... loyal, comes through, does whatever he can.
He's not loyal, but he comes through. He's loyal to himself. He's loyal to himself.
That's good.
I mean, he was willing to die at the end with everybody else, right? So he's like fearful too. But that's my only little bad thing is like, making Jane a bad guy again. I get it, but that's just his character. So
I was about to say I'm kind of there with you. You can I really don't like Jane's character. If I could get rid of anyone on the crew, it would be him. Yep. But I think he's purposely written that way. I really like dynamics.
I know why he's written that way. That's what I'm saying. I hate it, okay? But you have to have him to do that. Some idiot has to go in and open the cell for everybody to get out, okay?
Jane keeps flip-flopping for me between I want to space him out an airlock.
Yeah.
It's like that episode where they steal from the hospital and Mal clobbers him over the head.
Yeah.
And wanting to hold him and make sure he is protected and safe. Because in the scene where they're facing off against the Reavers and they're waiting for it, and Zoe goes, "Do you think any of us are going to get out of this?" Jane looks up and goes, "Well, I might." Yeah. Sweet summer child, you need to be protected.
Add that to James. In fact, when Mal says, "Did you bring him this time?"
Yes.
Grenade, right? That's the guy you want to disobey orders at times, Joe.
Yeah, I will say, of all the TV episodes, I'll include this movie, I liked Jane the best in this movie more than the other previous episodes. I liked his character.
Yeah. I thought he did.
And he's such a nice guy in person. It's a little disconcerting.
Really? Oh, really? That's cool. Awesome.
I thought he was mean to Chuck. No?
Come on, that was a TV show, Paul.
Oh.
That documentary, Chuck. Yeah. He's so mean to him.
Yeah. How he was always giving Shazam a hard time. Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Celeste, what's something you don't like about Serenity?
I didn't, and this is not necessarily Serenity's fault. It's
it's Firefly's fault.
No, it's a product of the time.
Oh, it's Joss Whedon's fault.
Probably. But everything was so overexposed.
Oh,
what do you mean?
I love the cinematography and the way it was exposed.
That's part of it? Okay.
Interesting.
Too much light. It made my photography brain hurt.
Really?
Because there were times where you could barely see their faces.
That's not too much light. That's the absence of light.
No, not if it's not if it's so bright.
It's overdone.
Oh, that's what you mean. Okay, sorry. Okay.
Much light.
Don't worry. A couple years after this, J.J. Abrams is going to bring it up another level.
That's so fascinating. I can remember. I can think of several scenes in my mind where it's dark and so.
No, but she's talking about the lighter scenes, not those scenes.
Like when it's dark, it's one thing, but like when they were on Miranda, there was just this weird lighting happening. And at one point,
Miranda,
when they were on Haven, like you could barely see Mal.
I think they weren't used to shooting outdoors.
That had to have been it because it really was.
They shot outdoors in this show. Oh wait.
Scenes.
Celeste, Are you watching on like Ultra HD? Like Paul, is that the problem here?
No, I did.
No, I'm broke. We don't have that.
Yeah, CRT, Francisco. What are you talking about?
She's hangry too. Don't push her.
No, but I mean, our TV is newer, but it's definitely not like top of the line. And
okay,
so it's not. I mean, this is something that is a problem with movies from that era. There's a lot of movies that came out around the early 2000s that it was a trend to overexpose everything.
If I ever get out there, Celeste, let's watch this movie together. You, me, Dallas.
Why would you want to watch a tragic movie like this?
I guess you know what? We'll find out. Maybe we won't want to watch it. That's a good point, Paul. Yeah. But I want you to point out, if this ever happens, I want you to point out, okay, this scene, Francisco, because I want to combat that.
So I mean, I thought that the way they're doing it was, I didn't see that, Celeste, so partly personal, but I thought maybe it's like trying to show like this, especially on that world where they found everybody's dead, right? That was
Miranda,
No, that was Haley.
I will say,
my bad.
I will say that was overexposed.
Yes. Add additional lighting, show it differently. Like it was terraformed, yet successfully. Now it's like this whole thing. Like I thought they were trying to overexpose it for a reason, but
to make it feel creepy. I thought,
a little bit. Like
I thought it was to make it feel clean and like everything was eerily okay.
This is a world where everything's beautiful and perfect, and it's bright and shiny, and look, corpses everywhere.
Yeah.
And that might have been the goal, but there were legitimately scenes where it was just too much.
Okay.
There's another movie, one of the Blade movies does the same thing, and it came out like 2003.
Oh, okay.
So
interesting.
It's just it was a trend at the time, and it was just too much.
Too much. All right. Totally fair.
Kind of like Matrix Revolutions when they were in that Apple store letting all the ships in. It was all white around them.
Or was it where that Black Knight was being taken down? It's just a flesh wound.
Yeah.
What does that have to do with anything, Ken? Okay, time for my dislike right now. Before we get to tragic makers, and I mean either of these could be a tragic maker for me, so I'm just gonna pick one. I feel like Simon punching Mal in the beginning. Seemed way overboard. It seemed like out of nowhere, just for summer going out with them. I feel like I think I read that there's a 6-month span between when the series ends and when this starts. So a lot of internal conflict could have been building up to that, but it just seems so like out of left field all of a sudden.
I think that's what James was referring to, the missing content of the season.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So that's my dislike that he just punched him right away.
I thought it was because at the very end, they're talking about, I could tell that you really love your sister. You can see that? That's love. Like the operator, right? See?
Oh, yeah.
That's love, okay?
Yes.
I think I thought there was one thing that by virtue of Simon punching Mount or all this time and dealing with all this crap, and you promised me she'll be safe, and here it was this last minute thing, I'm going to punch you, right? Which is not his character, because character's always been very more peaceful, passive.
Yeah.
He's just trying to show how much he loves her, that he is willing to do that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, over the course
that's
of the
what I
episodes,
thought.
you see a lot of trust is created between the two characters.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's true too.
I mean, like he saved Mal's life. Mal came back and saved him and his sister from literally being burned at the stake.
Right.
And so for them just to say like, okay, you did something, you might have even inadvertently put my sister in danger, even though I know that's not what you meant. I'm going to punch you in the face.
Yeah.
After you were almost chased down and killed and eaten by a zombie.
I think you're right. It was too abrupt there. I think the thing that's missing is Ron Burgundy. They're sitting there saying, "Well, that escalated quickly."
and I don't think you necessarily need it. You could just have Simon be like, we're
push
off
him.
this. No, not even put. You could have a push.
That's true.
But
that's true.
I'm saying because he ultimately decides we're off your ship. He could have just made that decision. You know what? This is too much. You said she wasn't going to be in danger, and
they were going for the drama. And you need to raise the stakes and action.
I'm telling you, it felt undeserved. But
yes,
what was the most undeserved things? The things that just should not have been in this movie at all are tragic makers. I'm going to circle back to Celeste. What did you hate most about Serenity? Is it like the Dapper Man here in chat? You just hated the whole thing?
Oh, wow.
No. The thing that I hated the most is that if you didn't watch the series, you were missing context. So there are certain things that did feel rushed, not because they were rushed.
Well,
but because
faster would be better, Celeste.
Yeah. But you don't have the. Sorry, that was my phone. But because you don't have the knowledge of the series, it feels rushed.
Yeah,
so if you go in watching this, it just feels like the tail end of it is just like blazing.
Yeah, it's hard because they're trying to serve two masters of people that may not have seen the series, which a lot of people didn't.
Right.
Just hearing from people that we've had on the show that said, "Yeah, I watched the movie first. And also serving the core audience, that people that the diehard fans that did watch it. So that's a tough line to walk. I don't think you can really do a good job in trying to focus on both. But I totally see what you're saying. That did feel rushed in places. I'm going to rush on over to James next. What did you hate most about Serenity?
Now, I might catch some flack for this, but for me, my tragic maker was the character of the operative.
Oh, really? Okay.
Okay.
So when he's introduced to us, we get this person who seems cold and calculating and hard. I mean, he literally causes a guy to fall upon a sword. You know, he takes out two other people and, scares the poor lady. Like I said, it's the second worst audit in company history. And
is the worst the Death Star? That little flaw in it?
Well, it was Twitter, but okay.
It was just some guy walking around going, "What is your name? Then what is your quest?"
Oh my gosh!
But with the operative, we then see, he has a great exchange with Mal, and which is part also has my favorite moment in the entire movie, where he tries to seem like a controlled and cultured and patient gentleman. I've come here to talk. I'm unarmed, and Mal is good. Bang.
Yeah.
So wonderful, so perfectly Mal, so great, such a Han Solo moment.
Right.
Yes. They fight. But then later on, we see that he wipes out whole small settlements, children, and even tells Mal, Mal, I'm a monster. I was like, well, I don't kill children. He's like, well, I do. So he literally describes himself as a child-killing monster, and he felt very uneven. I'm like, okay, so which one are you? Are you?
Do you have honor or do you not? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Do you have ethics? I mean, and then what really brought it home to me was at the end. Spoilers. He sees what happened on Miranda. He sees how they used the packs on them and how that created a few thousand Reapers. Yeah. And suddenly, now I'm against these. Now I'm against the Alliance. I'm like, should that have really mattered to you, dude?
Right. Yeah. That's not what you're not being paid to think like that, right?
Yeah, you literally just murdered a bunch of children, and now the fact that the government, that all of their dirty secrets, you saw that they tried to, make a populace a little more quieter, but they goofed it up, and now you're on the side of angels.
Right.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense.
You know what?
I'm not buying it. It wasn't. It felt very forced and unearned.
I could see that. The only thing that I think they could have written in to maybe make that justified is if we find out he had family members that were killed by Reavers. I think that maybe could have had a link of this actually means something to him personally. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
Even that's a stretch.
Again,
yeah.
I would have loved to have seen the character of the operative introduced in the first season. At the very end of the first season of at the end of the first episode of
they could have done it because it's basically the same character, but not quite, as in the last one in episode 14.
Oh, Object of Space.
Yeah.
He's similar.
Except at the end, you think he's killed off. But I thought, well, we might as well go ahead and get into mine.
Your tragic maker, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, my tragic maker, and it's the same character. It's I thought it was the acting by Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Yeah,
because he is so laid back, and it seems like he's supposed to be like caring, like, oh, I'm sympathizing, like, hey, no, I'm here to deal with it. He's uninteresting to me, like emotionally, really? Okay. Like it's like he's not. It's like he cares too much about people and not like, oh, I care about you. But it's just like
he compliments Inara. He tells Mal, you're not a monster.
And
I'm a monster, but you're a nice guy.
Right. And it's almost supposed to be, it's almost to me like he's coming across like an assassin with a heart or understanding in that way.
Yeah, code.
But
but then he like blows his code up, it seems like.
Right. Yeah. He's so aloof about it that I don't find it interesting. Where compared to the assassin in episode 14, that actor, what he did with it was more interesting. So I don't know if it's the actor.
Yeah.
Or if it was the direction given by the director for the actor to play. But whenever he was on the screen, this character, I was disengaged from it. I'm not buying what he's trying to deliver. Like there's something off about him, and for me, it's
he didn't fit very well with the feel of the verse. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. It didn't.
It feels like they brought a villain or a bad guy from a different science fiction franchise and tried to plug him into the Firefly verse.
Yeah, I can see that, but for me, this character or this actor, I'm not sure what it is, or maybe it's a combination of the both, or his direction given. It's by far the worst part of the movie.
You know, I'll say this. I think there is an element of he starts off with a code, like we're saying in the beginning. He feels like he's sort of honor bound in a way, but because Mal is able to dodge and get away from him so much, he like loses it. And even by the end, Mal says, I made you angry, haven't I? Or something like that. And so I think there's this element of like he gets almost like bloodlusted or so honed in on
his zen.
He loses his zen. Yes, exactly. I don't know if that's it, but I could see what you guys are saying for sure.
His zen is too uninteresting to me. Fine. Like you need a little more to keep.
You know what's
engaged.
interesting to me, Paul? Hearing what Deb's tragic maker for this movie is. So Deb, why don't you let us know?
I wanted to say one thing about the bad guy.
Yeah.
That I can see what everybody's saying, and I can agree to a certain extent, but part of sometimes his aloofness and his just how he only cared about his mission, that made the character more chilling for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's what the goal was, but it
didn't always hit. That's true. It didn't always accomplish what it was set out to do. But but that's why I didn't like the bad guy either. That was one of my dislikes as well.
Yeah.
And I know this is just a plot point, but my tragic maker is Wash's death.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's the same for me, Deb. Go ahead, though.
It's so
sad. I totally forgot about that in the end. And I mean, Shepard's death was bad enough. I could see, okay, that was unavoidable, and that he wiped out all of Haven, and Book was a sacrificing kind of man, but I thought Wash's death was totally
uncalled for,
unneeded, unnecessary. Why did they have that? And then his and I can understand why his wife went into soldier mode, because that's like how she was trained to handle the situation, and she wasn't going to be the kind of person that was going to fall apart, but she relied on her training. But I was like, I don't know if I would want to watch this if I knew. And and he didn't even die in battle. It was just kind of.
Well, he wasn't a battle person anyway.
Well, I know, but I mean,
it's all done, right? It's over. They're saved.
Well, they landed.
I know, but still, they made it. I'm like a leaf in the wind. Did it?
I would have preferred something happen.
He did it. He couldn't even rejoice in it. Triumph there.
I always told myself that if I ever met Joss Whedon at like a con or a panel, I was going to hold up a big picture of Wash and just yell, "How dare you! How dare you, sir!"
I think he would take that as a compliment. I don't know him, but as a writer, if you can get people to care that much about a character,
that's a good point.
Yeah, that's true.
And I will say this. So, Deb, that's my tragic maker is the same thing. Wash Dine. Now, I realize from an objective point of view.
Bring out your dead.
We're not even dead. From an objective point of view. Wash Dine essentially makes it very. It puts it in your mind that like anyone could die. Like at this point in this movie,
it's good.
Everyone could die, and it looks like people are dropping like flies toward the end.
I thought they were going to be all dead.
Yeah. So I get that it's necessary for that point, but I mean, just in this conversation, I hadn't thought about this before, but I think it would have been so much, I guess, more true to the character if he died like something like maybe something crashes, like the front of the ship, the cockpit crashes when they land, or something like that. That he dies in that, and he dies in like saving everyone else.
So speak,
Exactly. I feel like it's sort of lame to have him like, I survived it and then I died. Yeah, I don't like. Really, I didn't care for that.
You have to remember who wrote this. I mean, this is Joss Whedon, and if you've watched anything from him, whether it's Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel, he has no problem killing a character. None whatsoever.
And it's not the killing though; it's how he killed him.
Wait, I went into this movie thinking, all right, someone's dying.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna. It's a movie. I think
it's Bernard from the Santa Claus.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah, that wasn't right either.
So when Shepard Book died, I'm like, okay, there's our death. We're good. We're good.
Right.
It was the way the scene was set. They crash landed. You've come off that adrenaline of them being chased by Reavers. They've made it.
Yeah.
There's no music. It's very still and quiet.
Yep.
And you just hear Wash just even whisper, "I'm a leaf on the wind." Watch
right.
And you feel that spike go through you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I yelled out loud. I was sitting here, I yelled out loud, like, what?
Yeah,
I totally forgotten that.
I yelled out loud too. No.
Yeah.
But I didn't think it was the weak point. I mean, it was inevitable, I guess, in some respects. But it's like, I get it. You love a character.
Yeah. What was the weakest point for you, though, of this movie, Ken? Let's finish off with your tragic maker.
I love the fact they did a lot of fan service, especially with Kaylee and Simon. They kind of did things with Inara and Mal, right?
Yeah.
My biggest tragic maker was that there was no more Firefly.
Okay. All right.
It was over. And I'm like, so I know there have been comic books and graphic novels. Okay, I think I even bought a couple of those. Okay, so I know
I have one
the story has carried on.
Right.
But I'm like, and again, I said my classic maker was the crew, and seeing all these characters, I would love to see them back again in a show. Okay, and doing their Firefly, but I know they won't because people moved on and whatever. Of course, just Josh Whedon has fallen from grace, and he's like, I don't want to see. I mean, he did a terrible job with the event with some of the Marvel stuff, but I'm like, but to me, it was like
not
there's
the Marvel
no more
stuff, but Justice League for sure. I think people agree.
Well, that's
that
like
he
too,
did do a
right?
good
But
job
I mean, still, they didn't think he did a great job with Voltron, right? But he was fine, right? But your Justice League was a good example. But it's like number Firefly. I mean, and I don't blame Josh for that. I blame Fox. I don't know. Fox obviously had their ratings, and of course, the movie was $30 million to make it. Worldwide gross was 40. It just barely broke even. So from an economic point of view, I get why. There's even been talking about doing a Firefly MMO. I think at one point, I'm not sure if that is on again, off again type of thing. So that's where
there's a Firefly like pen and paper RPG,
good point. And I even have
paper RPG. I think
I even have a Firefly, or I played a Firefly board game, which is always fun to play. And so that's why I said no more Firefly. I was like, there's no more. I mean, I was like, what is the bad things about this movie? I don't see any. You guys brought up good points, and I respect those points. I think, good point about different things that you guys mentioned. Like, okay, but overall, it was like there's no more Firefly.
Yeah. It's not just that we don't get more of these characters. We don't get more of these characters played by these actors and actresses.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, good point. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Well put. Yeah. Because like I was saying before, there is just such cohesion, such camaraderie, such chemistry between all these characters that you don't really see that in many shows with this many characters all gelling together. So for sure, that's very valid, guys. But now that we've entered all our firing trajectories into the firing computer, Alice, do you have a firing solution for us?
Firing solution complete. Waiting salvo at the ready. On your mark.
All right, guys, time for the moment of truth.
Ever not had a firing solution ready?
Yeah. You fixed it in post.
She always has a firing solution ready because she's Alice, the computer, the best computer ever.
It's 100% computer. Okay, that's interesting to know. Okay, it's always right. Okay.
Yeah,
and if she ever gets sick, it's.
I'm getting better. No, you're not. You'll be stone dead in a moment.
I'm getting better.
I feel happy.
Final reigns for Serenity, guys. Let's go. Classic. Do we rate this a classic? It's worth anyone's time to watch it, whether or not you've seen it before. Nostalgic. It's only worth your time to watch if you enjoyed watching it before. But if you've never seen it before, keep it that way. Or tragic. If you've never seen it before, definitely don't seek this out. And if you have seen it before, don't rewatch it because you'll just sully any good memories you have of it.
Everybody got that?
Good. Let's begin with Deb. What is your final reign for Serenity? You had predicted classic. Did stay there.
Yes, as much, and I'm a big Firefly fan, and I consider myself a brown coat.
Yeah.
But considering
no buts.
Considering the fact that I bought the DVD and it was still in the wrapping, the original
Maybe you can sell it for money.
Wrapping that I haven't watched it since I bought it. And then I watched it again and I still love it, but I would have to rate it a nostalgic because people would, like Celeste said, people really do need to see the Firefly series in order to be fully on board for the movie.
Okay, that's totally
so. If you haven't, so I couldn't just recommend it to anyone. Yes, go ahead and see it because they might be a little lost. So I'm going to say nostalgic.
Okay. You know, Paul, that totally 10 commandment about honor thy father and mother. This one you can ignore. Okay?
We'll get to Paul here in a bit. Yeah, wow, indeed. Deb, you could just tell that to Ken's kids. They'll be fine.
That's right.
Oh, man.
Speaking of Ken, what was your final reign? You had predicted classic. Where did it end up for you?
Classic because it was better than I remembered. I was just blown away. I said I watched the shows on DVD. My friend of mine got it from Costco, so he loaned me out one time. He's the guy who got me on Stargate SG-1. As I watched this, cool. I loved it. I'm not sure if I probably saw it on DVD because 2005. I mean, my oldest daughter graduated from high school in 2006, so I had my 4 kids still in the house, and they probably watched it. And I did remember Wash's death. I forgot about Shepard book. I always liked Ron Glass and his character, and then the whole story. I always loved that whole interchange between Mal and Shepard about faith and all, because being a Christian is like really kind of cool. So it was better than I remembered, and so I'm like, classic. Yes, you should watch it, and then if you haven't seen the TV show, watch the show. But ultimately, I would say watch the show first, just because it's all in order. That's all.
Yeah.
All right.
Watch it in DVD order, not aired order.
Yes, of course.
DVD order, yes, correct.
What say you? Having predicted classic, where did it end up for you?
I'm going to rate it a classic. I think that because for me, even though it does have its problematic aspects when it comes to if you haven't seen the show, you don't appreciate everything. It was what got me into Firefly. So it made me go, this is fun. There's a series about this. Okay, cool. Let me go watch that. And it's become one of my favorite series.
Oh,
so
very cool.
It's for that reason alone, because it was good enough to make me go, I want more of this. So I'm going to say classic.
Yep. Awesome. James, you had
classic
predicted
becomes good enough.
Wow. James, you had predicted nostalgic, so tell us why this is a tragic for you.
Well, I'll be honest. The smarm just flowing off of Nathan Fillion just kind of covers everything. But that's his appeal. Honestly, that's classic maker. I can't say that with a straight face.
Gosh.
So I did start this off I started with a nostalgic, and I'm actually going to upgrade it to a classic.
Oh my gosh.
Because I first thought, well, it really helps if you've seen the show before you see the movie. But then I thought, if you haven't seen the show, then you get to go watch the show.
Oh yeah, good point.
That's going to be a fantastic experience for you, because then we can talk about it and we can enjoy those scenes together, and then we can commiserate because there's not going to be any more together. Then we can watch
Misery loves company.
Exactly. And even if you've never watched the show before, I think Serenity stands on its own. It's still just a fun sci-fi flick. It's got great writing, great characters, a fun plot.
A horrible villain.
It's still so much better than a lot of the heavy effects laden sci-fi schlock that come out every single year. So, because you've got, once again, it comes down to the writing of the characters and how those characters are played by their actors, their chemistry together, and this has it in spades. And I thoroughly enjoyed. I haven't like you, Kenneth. I haven't watched this movie in years, and that's my fault. I should have been a better fan.
Yeah, me too. I agree.
And
oh my gosh, guys,
I enjoyed, and of course now I'm going to be, thanks to this, I'm going to be in a Firefly binge for at least the next.
Nice.
You're welcome.
Awesome.
For me, it is a confirmed classic.
All right, confirmed. I like that. Paul, confirm for me what your final rating is.
Ask me the questions, Bridgekeeper. I'm not afraid.
I said, confirm for me what your final rating is.
Blue.
Of Serenity.
No, red. No, sorry. I enjoyed this movie, Serenity. And I'd recommend, if anyone who hasn't seen it, I'd recommend it. So classic.
Classic for you. Wow. All right. Well, that leaves me. I had predicted.
Wait. So before you do that, okay? I mean, there's been a lot of wonderful barbs using Monty Python and Holy Grail, okay?
Yeah.
Why do I get the funny feeling this is being set up as if Firefly is going to be as bad for you as the Holy Grail?
I don't know.
Right.
I don't know why you had that feeling.
It's a vibe I've got, okay? Because Paul knows you, okay?
No.
I mean, he's known you for like how many years before the show? 10 years for the show. I got a bad feeling about this.
That's a different franchise.
You know what? All this ire for Monty Python has not got me sour on Serenity. I still loved it. It was still so enjoyable to watch. So I would rate it classic as well.
Now you
don't
guys
rate all
make
the
me
Monty
feel
Python.
bad.
What was that, Deb?
I said, now you guys all make me feel bad. Like I'm a bad fan.
No. There are people that are going to feel that same way, Deb, and so they'll connect with your review the most.
Says might dislike the whole thing. So
I don't understand what he's talking about.
Tis but a scratch.
Man, I fart in your general direction, sir.
Wow. According to the Retro Rewind podcast, we rate Serenity, not Monty Python and the Holy Grail, Serenity, even though this is actually the same vote, a disputed classic film. We'd recommend
barely
disputed classic film.
Like,
yeah.
Right. A little bit under, but
okay, guys.
Classic, okay?
We recommend anyone go see this, whether or not you've seen it before. But now it's time to get back to our own time. Good old 20XX.
20XX?
I wanted to go to 1986. Can we go there instead?
No, we can't go there instead.
Alice already has it locked in.
It feels good to be back, but we wouldn't have been able to travel back to 2005 to begin with if it weren't for our amazing reflux capacitors, namely Jared Holzhauer, Deborah Powers. Oh, you're right here. Woohoo! Brian Kane, Patrick Hicks, Chris Cowan, Geek Devotions. Oh, you're here too. Woo! The Untold Podcast, James Kennison, Drew of the Cellcast, Ashley Ruiz, Pastor Jason, Kenneth, and I. 3 for 3.
Woohoo!
Redeemed Otaku, That's Our Babo, Josh Adams, D. Tungsten, Andy Lewis, Jeff. The Dapper Man Reviews.
The Dapper Man Review says it's a tragic, but at least he's a supporter.
Indeed. Mr. Lost, Daryl Hafner, Rosie, Cool Deluxe, in addition to 7 other awesome patrons as well. Thank you all so much for keeping the gigawatts coming. And if you want to help us keep flying and get bonus content for your generosity, head over to retrorewindpodcast.com/support to start.
Fly like a leaf on the wind.
Wait, isn't it retro.locals.com? What I did?
I point everyone to our own website in case it ever changes, because it just recently changed.
Give your money now. You'll get some wonderful art, okay?
But that way,
now, give your money now.
Is the same.
Oh, we have a barker for the show. Okay, come on, step right up, folks. Come and see.
If you don't donate, then Francisco will ride away. He'll bravely ride away.
Okay.
Also,
this stream sponsored by PaulJPowers.com.
And while we're thanking people, we also want to give a big shiny hug to all these wonderful crewmates who've come to share their opinions with us on the movie Serenity, and I'll go in alphabetical order like I like to do. So let's start with Celeste. Where can people find you online, or is there anything cool you got going on?
They can find me online at geekdevotions.com. You can pretty much branch off of that to anything else that I do. We have a lot. We have a lot of podcasts and things, but that is the hub for it all. I think the most recent thing that I've done is had an episode of We Read Allegedly where we reviewed a book called John Dies at the End.
Oh, spoiler. Okay.
Wow.
And I'd also like to thank my mom coming on this episode for joining us online. Where can people find you?
They can find me through the show or your website.
There you go. That's right.
All right.
You mean
next,
PaulJPowers.com?
Oh,
that's right.
My gosh.
Next on the alphabetical train is James. Well, thank you for joining us. How can people find you online? Is there anything cool you got going on?
You can find me along with my friends Mike and Brian at geekatarms.com. From there, you can go to our Facebook page, our Twitter, and everything else. Here soon, we'll have our next episode out, episode 52, where we'll be taking a look at the latest movie in our film club, Dark City.
Ooh, that's okay.
What is that?
It's I
think it's the opposite of the overexposed Miranda planet.
Gosh. It's often, I've heard often compared as like the Matrix ripped it off, or it's better than the Matrix.
It's like the proto-Matrix, kind of.
Yeah, that might be a way of looking at it, yeah.
And Kennethan, how can people find you online, and what do you have going on?
Am I going to be allowed back again? I don't know.
Yes.
So until I canceled, you can find me at Kennethan Twitch. I'm gonna do Twitch Kennethan, as well as Kennethan Live on Twitter or kennethan.locals.com, and you can find me. And also, I've been trying to emulate these wonderful guys and doing a podcast like the Trinity MMO show with Sir Jaziel and Solomon. And so, yeah, we'll have some fun and come join us.
Cool.
Very, very cool. Thank you again so much, Deb, James, Celeste, Ken, my awesome Exo Paul, and all you rewinders new and old for another fun voyage.
You're welcome. And you can find me, PaulJPowers.com at
PaulJPowers.com.
Yeah.
And you can find me on our Discord for show announcements or just to say hi. Join us there at retrorewindpodcast.com/Discord. /Discord.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box, a curated collection of podcasts, videos, and articles that will provide you a balanced meal of content. You will find culture celebrated for its past and future, satirized for its extremes, explored in study, and created anew in story. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
And as the mysterious yet clear voice just said, we are now part of the Culture Box Media Network. Find all the shows unpacking truth through story, comedy, and geekery at culturebox.media. So with that, Captain, we are on final approach to base, which I hope is shiny, but not too shiny and overexposed.
Did you say funny podcast? Or we're only allowed on that Culture Box? Why are you guys there?
We explore.
Are you trying to put us down there, Ken? Oh my gosh.
We unpack truth through story, comedy, and geekery. It's not full of comedy like Serenity.
I know.
Exactly. Anyway,
what you doing now?
Thank you, EXO, and thank you all for listening. We pray you're more joyful today than when you first hit play. But like a Pokemon, we gotta catch you all for the next episode of the Retro Rewind Podcast.
Retro Rewind mission complete. Proceed to nav point Omega and return to base.
Fruity OT bars make a man out of a mouse. Fruity OT bars make you bust out of your blouse. Eat them all the time. Let them blow your mind.
我很丢脸，我没有去过OT bar。
Fruity OT bars. Fruity OT bars.
All right, Kaylee, one last final good night.
Don't let the space bugs fight.
Oh, Merry Christmas.
Speaking of good night, you know who I thought was a good night?
None shall pass.
But I don't think the knights who went around saying,
We are the knights who say...
yeah, I don't think those were good nights. But you know who I think were good nights? The Knights of the Round Table. We dance when we do routines.
Table. This is not good, Kevin. This is a silly place.
This is a silly place.
Right.
I'm not dead yet.
Did you suffer with the world?